The vastness of space held its breath as the Zexteri battle fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Orion Arm. Their crystalline ships, each a masterpiece of plasma-enhanced engineering, cast prismatic reflections across the void. Supreme Commander Vexthor stood on his command deck, his translucent appendages shifting in barely contained excitement as his sensors detected an unknown vessel in their territory. "Analysis," he commanded, his voice resonating through the psychic command network that connected his crew. "Single vessel, Commander," his science officer responded, multiple eyes blinking in confusion. "Preliminary scans indicate primitive construction. Hull composition appears to be titanium steel alloys. Propulsion systems are chemical-based. Energy readings suggest nuclear fission power generation." Vexthor's upper appendages curled in amusement. The Zexteri had conquered 12 star systems in the past solar cycle, each victory adding to their reputation as the most technologically advanced species in this sector of space. Their crystalline ships, powered by plasma cores and equipped with weapons that could slice through planetary crusts, had never met their match. "Magnification," he ordered, and the forward-viewing crystal shifted, revealing a sleek vessel painted in deep navy blue and bearing unfamiliar markings. The words U.S. Dauntless were clearly visible along its hull, along with a curious symbol, some sort of predatory avian creature clutching arrows and vegetation. On board the U.S. Dauntless, Captain Michael Harrison stood with perfect military posture, his weathered hands clasped behind his back as he observed the alien fleet through the bridge's panoramic viewing window. His steel-gray eyes reflected the crystalline ship's approaching formation, but his expression remained unreadable. "Their scanning systems are exactly as intelligence predicted," Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez reported from her sensor station, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. "They're seeing exactly what we want them to see." Harrison nodded, the corner of his mouth twitching slightly. The quantum mimicry systems were performing flawlessly, projecting the image of an outdated vessel barely worthy of space travel. Years of human ingenuity, countless hours of research and development, all dedicated to creating the perfect deception. "Multiple targeting locks detected," Commander James Foster announced from Tactical, his dark features illuminated by the soft glow of his console. "They're painting us with their targeting systems, sir." "Let them look their fill," Harrison replied, his voice carrying the calm confidence that had earned him command of humanity's most advanced warship. "Status of our secondary systems. Ghost protocols holding steady," Rodriguez confirmed. "All advanced systems remain masked. As far as they can tell, we're running on nothing more sophisticated than nuclear power and chemical engines." The bridge crew maintained their professional composure, but an undercurrent of anticipation charged the air. They had trained for this moment, rehearsed every possible scenario. Each officer knew their role in the elaborate performance about to unfold. "Sir, they're broadcasting," Communications Officer Sarah Wells reported, her hand pressed to her earpiece. "Standard frequencies, surprisingly primitive by their standards. They're making it easy for us to understand them." Harrison straightened his already impeccable uniform. "Put it through, Lieutenant. Let's hear what our crystalline friends have to say." The voice that filled the bridge carried the unmistakable tone of superiority that intelligence had warned them about. "Unknown vessel, you have entered territory claimed by the Zexteri Dominion. Our scans indicate your technological level falls well below acceptable standards for independent spacefaring races. Prepare to be boarded and assessed for integration into our empire." Harrison exchanged knowing looks with his bridge crew. The Zexteri's arrogance was legendary, their belief in their technological superiority absolute. They had encountered dozens of species, conquered most, and never once considered that their scanning systems might be deceived. "Signal coming through clean, sir," Wells reported. "They're waiting for our response." Captain Harrison allowed himself a small smile, the kind that had made more than a few Academy cadets nervous during his teaching years. "Well then, let's not keep our guests waiting. Open a channel, Lieutenant. It's time to give them their first lesson in human hospitality. Captain Harrison keyed the communication system with deliberate slowness, maintaining the illusion of primitive technology. This is Captain Michael Harrison of the United States ship Dauntless. We acknowledge your presence and would welcome a diplomatic discussion about mutual respect and territorial boundaries. The bridge of the Dauntless remained silent as they waited for the response, each crew member performing their role in this carefully orchestrated deception. Executive Officer Jessica Martinez stood at her station, her fingers hovering over concealed quantum controls disguised as basic ship functions. Diplomatic discussion. The Zexteri commander's voice crackled through the speakers, dripping with disdain. Your species hasn't even mastered basic plasma containment. Your vessel's power signature barely registers above a stellar mining operation. Harrison caught Martinez's subtle smirk. Below the command deck, in the true heart of the Dauntless, banks of quantum processors hummed silently, their energy signatures masked by revolutionary damping fields. The ship's actual power core, a miniaturized star sustained by artificial gravity fields, remained completely hidden from the alien scanning technology. Perhaps we could find common ground, Harrison continued, his voice carrying just the right note of cautious optimism. Our species may be younger than yours in the galactic community, but we have much to offer. In the combat center, 12 decks below, Lieutenant Commander William Tucker ran final checks on weapon systems that would redefine the very concept of space warfare. The quantum mimicry projectors were performing flawlessly, showing nothing but simple missile tubes and basic point defense lasers to the Zexteri scanners. Sir, Martines whispered, her station displaying real-time analysis of the alien fleet's movements. They're positioning for standard subjugation protocols, exactly as intelligence predicted. Harrison nodded almost imperceptibly. The Zexteri's predictability was their greatest weakness. Countless hours of studying their conquest patterns had revealed a species so convinced of their superiority that they followed the same tactical doctrine for every encounter. Your offer of diplomacy is noted, the Zexteri commander responded, but unnecessary. Our scans show your hull would barely withstand a warning shot from our lowest-powered weapons. Submit now, and we will ensure your species' integration into our empire is relatively painless. Throughout the Dauntless, hidden systems continued their silent work. The ship's true hull, composed of self-repairing nanomaterials and quantum-locked energy fields, remained concealed beneath the facade of simple metal plating. In engineering, Chief Engineer Rachel Cooper monitored the fake power signatures they were broadcasting, ensuring they maintained the perfect image of an inferior vessel. Commander Tucker, Harrison spoke quietly into his secured command channel. Status of defensive systems. All systems primed. Sir, Tucker responded from the combat center. Phase shields are masked but ready. Gravity lance capacitors at full charge. Just say the word. The Zexteri fleet had fully encircled the Dauntless now, their crystalline ships glowing with barely contained plasma energy. To their sensors, they had surrounded a helpless prey. In reality, they had walked into humanity's most elaborate trap. Final warning, primitive vessel, the Zexteri commander announced. Submit to boarding, or face the consequences of your defiance. Harrison stood from his command chair, straightening his uniform with practiced precision. Lieutenant Wells, please transmit my response on all frequencies. I want to make sure our friends don't miss anything. Channel open. Sir, Wells confirmed, her fingers dancing across her console. Zexteri command. Harrison's voice carried the weight of humanity's careful planning, years of preparation hidden behind a mask of apparent vulnerability. We appreciate your generous offer. However, I feel obligated to point out that there's something your scans may have missed. And what? The alien commander's voice hardened. Could our superior technology have possibly missed? Harrison allowed himself a genuine smile now, one that would have been immediately recognized as dangerous by anyone familiar with human expressions. The fact that appearances can be deceiving. Martinez, initiate Protocol Odysseus. Aye, sir, Martines responded, her hand hovering over a simple-looking control panel that would reveal humanity's true technological mastery. Protocol Odysseus initiating. May God have mercy on their crystalline souls. Supreme Commander Vexthor's appendages twisted in rage at the human's insolent response. Fire the warning shot, he commanded through the psychic network. Let them witness true power before they submit. The flagship's stellar lance, a weapon that had shattered the defenses of a dozen civilizations, powered up with a distinctive purple glow. Energy cascaded through crystalline matrices, building to levels that could vaporize small moons. The lance burst forth, a brilliant beam of concentrated plasma streaking across space toward the seemingly helpless human vessel. On the Dauntless's bridge, Captain Harrison remained standing, hands clasped behind his back. Time to impact, Commander Tucker. 3 seconds, sir, Tucker responded from the combat center, his fingers hovering over real controls hidden beneath holographic disguises. Permission to show them what human engineering can do. Permission granted. Execute defense pattern Delta. The stellar lance struck the Dauntless dead center and vanished. No explosion, no destruction, not even a scorch mark on the supposedly primitive hull. For a moment, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Impossible. Vexthor's psychic scream echoed through his ship's network. Full scan. What trickery is this? Before his crew could respond, the Dauntless began to change. Its outer hull rippled like disturbed water, the seemingly basic metal plating flowing and shifting to reveal layers of technology that defied the Zexteri's understanding of physics. Energy absorption complete, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, her voice steady despite the excitement. Their weapons output has been fully converted and stored. Power reserves now at 115% capacity. Harrison nodded, allowing himself a small smile. Broadcast on all frequencies. Lieutenant Wells. Let's make sure they understand exactly what they're seeing. The Dauntless's transformation continued. Panels of quantum-engineered materials flowed like liquid metal, revealing weapon ports and sensor arrays that had remained completely invisible to alien scans. The ship's true form emerged, sleek, dangerous, and unmistakably more advanced than anything the Zexteri had encountered. This is Captain Harrison of the U.S. Dauntless, his voice carried across space to every crystalline ship in the alien fleet. That was an impressive display of force. Allow us to return the favor. Commander Tucker's hands danced across his console. Target locks confirmed on their primary weapon systems, sir. Non-lethal disabling shots ready at your command. By the first crystal, one of Vexthor's officers whispered, their sensor readings finally showing the true nature of the human vessel. Their power readings, they're beyond our measurement capabilities. The Dauntless's response came not as a beam or projectile, but as a ripple in space-time itself. Precisely calculated gravitational waves rolled out from the human ship, touching each crystalline vessel with surgical precision. Weapon ports sealed shut, their molecular structure temporarily altered by forces the Zexteri had never mastered. Minor systems disruption confirmed across their fleet, Martins reported. No structural damage, but their primary weapons are now inoperable. As planned, sir. Harrison stepped forward, his figure displayed on every Zexteri command crystal through their own communication systems. Let me be clear, Supreme Commander. What you witnessed was not our weapon systems. That was our defense grid operating at minimal capacity. Would you like to see what happens when we actually decide to strike back? Vexthor's pride warred with his growing realization of the situation. His mighty fleet, terror of 12 star systems, stood effectively neutered by a single human vessel that had absorbed their strongest weapon without effort. What are you? The Supreme Commander finally managed to transmit. We're human, Harrison responded simply. And we've been watching your empire's expansion for quite some time. Those civilizations you conquered, the ones you judged as primitive based on initial scans, they were under our protection. This meeting isn't a coincidence, Supreme Commander. It's an intervention. The crystalline ships hung motionless in space as their crews struggled to comprehend this reversal of fortune. The supposedly primitive vessel before them now radiated power that their sensors couldn't even quantify, its true form a testament to technological advancement that made their own achievements seem primitive in comparison. The Dauntless's transformation continued, each layer of deception peeling away to reveal increasingly sophisticated technology. The outer hull now resembled liquid starlight, quantum-engineered materials flowing and reshaping themselves into their true configuration. Weapon ports emerged from seemingly solid surfaces, their designs so advanced they appeared to break the laws of physics. Multiple contacts. A Zexteri sensor officer broadcast in panic, energy signatures appearing throughout the sector. Around the Dauntless, space itself seemed to ripple as dozens of stealth drones decloaked, their presence previously masked by technology far beyond Zexteri understanding. Each drone glowed with the same otherworldly energy as their mothership, forming a complex defensive grid that had been present but invisible the entire time. Engineering. Status report. Harrison commanded, his voice steady as the ship completed its metamorphosis. All systems operating at peak efficiency, Captain. Chief Engineer Cooper responded. The quantum core is fully synchronized. Biosynthetic neural networks are processing at maximum capacity. We're showing green across all boards. The Dauntless's bridge itself transformed, holographic disguises falling away to reveal its true nature. Advanced control interfaces materialized around each crew member, responding to both touch and thought. The forward viewport expanded, becoming a seamless window into space enhanced by quantum imaging technology. Lieutenant Commander Tucker's weapons console now displayed its actual capabilities. Phase cannons charged, sir. Gravitational manipulation grid online. Micro-singularity generators standing by. Supreme Commander Vexthor watched through his ship's crystals as the human vessel revealed its true nature. Where once floated what appeared to be a primitive warship now hovered a masterpiece of engineering that made his fleet's most advanced technology look like children's toys. Let me explain what you're seeing, Harrison announced, his image appearing on every crystalline ship's command interface. The hull you're now observing is composed of self-repairing quantum materials integrated with artificial intelligence. Those energy readings you can't quite understand. That's because we're not using plasma or nuclear power. Each of our ships contains a miniature star, held in perfect balance by gravity fields your sensors can't even detect. Martinez stepped forward, adding her own insights to the demonstration. Your scanning technology is impressive, Supreme Commander, but it's based on the assumption that all advanced civilizations follow the same technological path you did. Humanity chose a different route. We don't just use technology. We merge with it, enhance it, reimagine its very foundations. To demonstrate her point, Martinez gestured at a floating holographic display. The drone network surrounding the Dauntless pulsed in perfect synchronization, creating a cascading pattern of energy that resembled a living, breathing organism rather than a mechanical defense system. The biosynthetic neural network Commander Martinez is controlling, Harrison explained, processes information faster than light itself. Each drone you see isn't just a weapon or a shield. It's part of a living defense grid that thinks, adapts, and evolves in real time. Tucker's weapons display lit up with new information. Sir, we're detecting power spikes from their secondary fleet. They appear to be charging emergency weapons. Harrison nodded calmly. Supreme Commander, I notice your rear guard is preparing to fire. Before you make that mistake, I should mention that every weapon in your arsenal has already been analyzed, countered, and improved upon by our defense systems. Would you like a demonstration of how we improved your stellar lance design? The Dauntless's hull shifted again, revealing an array of crystalline structures that looked remarkably similar to Zexteri technology, but somehow more refined, more elegant in their construction. Energy coursed through them in patterns that shouldn't have been possible according to known physics. By the sacred crystals, Vexthor whispered, his natural bioluminescence dimming in shock. You've mastered our technology and transcended it. No, Supreme Commander, Harrison corrected. We didn't master your technology. We simply recognized it as one of many possible paths toward advancement. What you're seeing isn't just a warship. It's humanity's declaration that the galaxy's technological boundaries are ready to be rewritten. Despite Harrison's warning, 3 Zexteri ships from the rear guard opened fire, their crystalline weapons blazing with desperate fury. The space between vessels lit up with streams of plasma energy, each beam powerful enough to crack a planet's crust. Multiple incoming attacks, Rodriguez reported calmly. Permission to demonstrate our point defense capabilities, Captain. Harrison nodded, his expression unchanged. Proceed with Echo Protocol. Let's show them how humans dance. What followed would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The Dauntless moved like no ship the Zexteri had ever encountered. It didn't just dodge the incoming fire. It flowed around it, through it, almost as if the vessel itself was liquid starlight given form. Navigator Thompson, Harrison called out, show them what that academy degree in quantum physics is worth. Thompson's hands danced across her console, and the Dauntless responded with impossible grace. The ship split into multiple images, quantum displacement creating dozens of perfect copies. Each moved independently, yet in perfect coordination, leaving the Zexteri gunners firing at phantoms. They're tracking our quantum echoes, Martinez observed, watching the alien fleet's desperate attempts to target them. Shall we show them why that's a mistake, sir? By all means, Commander. Each phantom image of the Dauntless suddenly became solid, the quantum displacement field creating temporary, but very real copies of the ship. The Zexteri found themselves surrounded not by one advanced human vessel, but by 12, each one radiating the same impossible power signatures. Quantum manifestation stable, Cooper reported from engineering. Field integrity at 98%. We can maintain this configuration for 6 minutes before requiring a reset. The lead Zexteri ship fired again, its beam passing through one phantom only to be caught and redirected by another. The Dauntless's copies began to move in a complex pattern, creating a web of redirected energy that transformed the aliens' own attack into a stunning display of light and power. Their tactical officer is attempting to analyze our movement pattern, Tucker reported, a hint of amusement in his voice. Should we show them why that won't work? Proceed, Harrison commanded. Full demonstration. The Dauntless and its quantum echoes began a new dance, each movement defying conventional physics. They phased through solid matter, appeared in multiple locations simultaneously, and bent space itself around them. The human ship wasn't just fighting. It was rewriting the rules of space combat with every maneuver. Sir, Rodriguez called out, they're attempting to coordinate their fleet for a full broadside attack. Harrison allowed himself a small smile. Perfect. Commander Tucker, initiate the gravity lens defense. Let's show them why attacking in formation isn't always wise. The space between the ships suddenly warped, invisible forces taking hold. The Zexteri fleet's carefully coordinated attack dissolved as their ships found themselves caught in a complex web of gravitational fields. Their plasma beams curved and twisted, following paths that defied their targeting computer's predictions. Gravitational topology mapped and locked, Tucker confirmed. Their fleet is effectively in our ballroom now, sir. They'll dance to our tune whether they want to or not. The Dauntless's quantum echoes moved in perfect synchronization, each one generating its own gravitational field. The combined effect created a massive invisible machine that turned space itself into both weapon and shield. The Zexteri ships found their movements controlled by forces they couldn't understand or resist. Message from the Supreme Commander's vessel, Wells announced. They're asking how this is possible. Put me through, Harrison ordered, watching as the alien fleet struggled against the invisible bonds of manipulated gravity. Supreme Commander, what you're witnessing is the result of humanity's greatest strength, our ability to imagine the impossible, then find a way to make it reality. Your ships are currently caught in a gravitational ballet of our design, Every movement you make, every shot you fire, becomes part of our defense system. You're not just fighting our technology. You're fighting the laws of physics themselves, rewritten to our specifications. The Zexteri fleet hung suspended in space, their crystalline ships reflecting the light of their own redirected weapons, unwitting dancers in humanity's cosmic choreography. Supreme Commander Vexthor watched in stunned silence as his mighty fleet hung helpless in space, caught in the human's gravitational web. His crystalline command center, once a symbol of Zexteri's superiority, now seemed primitive compared to the display of power before him. "Impossible," he whispered, multiple eyes fixed on the sensor readings. "Our understanding of physics, everything we believed about space warfare." "Sir," his science officer interrupted, appendages trembling, "the human vessel's power signature. It's not just beyond our measurement capabilities. It's beyond our theoretical models. They're achieving things our scientists claimed were impossible." The Dauntless's quantum echoes continued their precise movements, each one a perfect copy of the original, each demonstrating mastery over forces the Zexteri had never dreamed of controlling. The human vessel hadn't just matched their technology. It had rendered their entire approach to warfare obsolete. "Your attention, please," Captain Harrison's voice resonated through their command crystals. "What you're experiencing now is just one application of our gravitational manipulation technology. Commander Tucker, perhaps a more detailed demonstration is in order." On the Dauntless's bridge, Tucker's hands moved across his console with practiced precision, initiating localized space-time curvature stir, showing them what happens when you really understand gravity. The space around the Zexteri fleet began to ripple with visible distortions. Time itself seemed to flow differently in various pockets around their ships. Weapon discharge appeared to freeze mid-burst, while communication signals between vessels experienced temporal shifts that made coordination impossible. By the first crystal, Vexthor's tactical officer exclaimed, "They're not just controlling space, they're manipulating time differentials." The human ship exists in multiple temporal states simultaneously. Harrison's voice carried a note of educational patience. "Your civilization mastered plasma containment and crystalline computing. Impressive achievements, certainly. But you never questioned why those were the only paths to advancement. Humanity asked different questions. We looked at the fundamental forces of the universe and asked, why not?" The Dauntless's hull shifted again, revealing new layers of technology that seemed to exist in dimensions the Zexteri couldn't properly perceive. Energy patterns flowed across its surface in impossible configurations, each movement suggesting capabilities that shattered the aliens' understanding of physical laws. "Your weapons," Martins explained, her voice reaching every crystalline ship, "rely on plasma contained by magnetic fields. We contain stars using gravity itself. Your computers process data through crystalline matrices. Ours process reality through quantum entanglement networks that span both space and time." In their ships, the Zexteri crews watched as their most advanced sensors tried and failed to comprehend what they were witnessing. Each scan revealed new impossibilities. Each analysis showed them how limited their understanding had been. "Commander," Rodriguez reported, "they're attempting to analyze our quantum echo pattern. Their science vessels are deploying advanced scanning arrays." Harrison nodded. "Let them look. Lieutenant Thompson, rotate our quantum manifestation through all 11 dimensions. Show them why three-dimensional scanning will never understand our technology." The Dauntless and its echoes began a new movement pattern, one that seemed to fold through space in ways that hurt to look at. The ship appeared to exist in multiple states of reality simultaneously, each state operating under its own set of physical laws. Vexthor's pride finally shattered completely as he watched his fleet's most sophisticated analysis tools fail to make sense of what they were seeing. The humans hadn't just surpassed Zexteri technology. They had transcended the very rules his civilization thought governed the universe. "Captain Harrison," he transmitted, his voice carrying the weight of his revelation, "I begin to understand now. We thought ourselves masters of space and energy, but we were children playing with toys. Your species, you haven't just advanced beyond us. You've evolved beyond our comprehension of what's possible. That's the first step toward wisdom, Supreme Commander, Harrison responded. The realization that the universe is far more complex and wonderful than we first imagined. Now, shall we discuss those civilizations you've been conquering? Captain Harrison stood at the center of the Dauntless's bridge, his figure projected into every Zexteri command center through their own crystalline displays. Behind him, space rippled with the power of dozens of quantum echoes, each one a testament to human technological supremacy. Supreme Commander, Harrison began, his voice carrying the weight of authority earned rather than demanded. Your fleet is currently held in our gravitational matrix. Your weapons are neutralized, your engines are contained, and your sensors are showing you just how outmatched you truly are. However, humanity has not come to conquer. Lieutenant Wells's console lit up with incoming transmissions. Sir, we're receiving surrender signals from multiple Zexteri vessels. Belay those surrenders, Harrison commanded, surprising the alien crews. This isn't about submission. This is about understanding. The Dauntless's quantum echoes began a new configuration, their formation shifting from combat readiness to something more symbolic. The gravitational fields holding the Zexteri fleet relaxed slightly, allowing them limited movement while maintaining tactical control. Commander Martinez, Harrison called, initiate diplomatic protocols. Show them what else we've been hiding. The space around the Dauntless shimmed as hundreds of cloaked human observers decloaked simultaneously. Research vessels, diplomatic ships, and cultural observation posts that had been watching the Zexteri for years revealed themselves. Each one demonstrated technology far beyond anything the Crystalline Empire had achieved. For 3 years, Harrison explained, we've watched your expansion. We've seen your conquests, studied your methods, and understood your motivations. We've also protected and evacuated countless species you thought you had subjected to your rule. Supreme Commander Vexthor's multiple eyes widened as the implications hit him. The resistance movements, the disappeared populations, the colonies that seemed abandoned just before our arrival, all relocated to safe havens beyond your reach, Martinez confirmed. We couldn't directly intervene without revealing ourselves, but we ensured your expansion claimed no actual victims. The Dauntless's main viewing screen activated, displaying recordings from dozens of worlds. Species the Zexteri thought they had conquered were shown thriving on new worlds, their cultures and freedoms intact. The human evacuation fleet had moved entire civilizations without leaving a trace. Your empire, Harrison continued, has been expanding into an elaborate illusion. Those resources you've been extracting, carefully crafted decoys, those subjugated populations providing labor, holographic projections and automated systems we left behind. You haven't been building an empire, Supreme Commander. You've been participating in the galaxy's largest sociological study. Commander Tucker's tactical display showed the full extent of human presence in the sector. Shield network disengaging, sir, showing them the full defensive grid. Space itself seemed to fold as massive human defense platforms emerged from hidden dimensional pockets. Each installation dwarfed the largest Zexteri vessels, their power signatures suggesting they could reshape solar systems at will. This is your crossroads moment, Harrison declared. Humanity stands ready to welcome the Zexteri Empire as equals in the galactic community. Not as conquerors, not as the conquered, but as a species ready to learn that true power comes from understanding rather than domination. Vexthor's crystalline form shimmered with emotional resonance. You could have stopped us at any time, could have destroyed our empire with technology we can barely comprehend. Why this elaborate deception? Because destruction is easy, Harrison answered. Teaching is harder. Learning is hardest of all. We chose to wait until you were ready to understand the difference between having power and wielding it wisely. Martinez stepped forward, adding her own insight. Every species reaches this moment, Supreme Commander. The realization that the universe is far larger and more complex than they imagined. Some react with fear, others with aggression. The wisest react with curiosity and humility. The choice now, Harrison concluded, is yours. Continue your path of conquest against an enemy you cannot hope to defeat, or join us in exploring the true wonders this galaxy has to offer. Either way, the era of Zexteri expansion through force has ended. The only question is what you will choose to become instead. The story of the U.S. Dauntless and the Zexteri fleet spread across the galaxy like a supernova's light, each retelling adding new layers of understanding to what became known as the Great Revelation. In the chambers of the newly formed Galactic Cooperative, Supreme Commander Vexthor himself stood before representatives of 100 species to share what he had learned. "We thought ourselves masters of space and time," he began, his crystalline form reflecting the chamber's lights. "Our empire spanned 12 systems, our technology could reshape planets, and our confidence knew no bounds. Then we met humanity, and everything we believed about our place in the universe changed." The assembled representatives, many from worlds the Zexteri had once threatened, watched as holographic displays showed the legendary encounter. The Dauntless's transformation from apparent primitive vessel to technological marvel play out before them, each frame a testament to human ingenuity. "Captain Harrison and his crew didn't just defeat us," Vexthor continued. "They showed us a new way of thinking. While we saw space as a territory to conquer, they saw it as a mystery to explore. While we developed technology to dominate, they created it to understand." In the years following the encounter, the changes within Zexteri society proved even more remarkable than their military surrender. Their scientists, freed from the constraints of conquest-driven research, began collaborating with human experts to explore entirely new fields of physics. The quantum echo technology alone. Dr. Elizabeth Reynolds, head of the Human Zexteri Scientific Exchange, explained to a group of students, revolutionized our understanding of dimensional physics. But the real breakthrough was the cultural exchange. The Zexteri's crystalline computing matrices, combined with our quantum manipulation techniques, opened doors we never knew existed. The Dauntless itself became a symbol, its image displayed in diplomatic halls and scientific institutions across known space. But it wasn't the ship's power that captured imaginations. It was what it represented. The moment when brute force yielded to wisdom, when conquest gave way to cooperation. The most profound impact, Captain Harrison reflected in his final address before retirement, wasn't in the technology we revealed that day. It was in the lesson we taught. That true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when not to. Commander Martinez, who later became Ambassador Martinez, established the Interstellar Cultural Exchange Program. Under her guidance, former adversaries became eager students of each other's civilizations. The Zexteri's expertise in crystalline engineering, combined with human quantum theory, gave birth to new forms of art that could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "We discovered something remarkable," she told the Galactic Assembly. "When you remove the fear of conquest, species don't just coexist, they flourish. Each brings unique perspectives that enrich everyone's understanding of the universe." Lieutenant Commander Tucker's combat innovations found new purpose in peaceful applications. The gravitational manipulation technology that had held the Zexteri fleet captive now powered intergalactic transport networks, allowing species from across the galaxy to meet and exchange ideas freely. Even Lieutenant Wells's communications breakthroughs during the encounter led to the development of the Universal Cultural Archive, a vast database where species could share their histories, arts, and discoveries without fear of exploitation. In the end, the story of humanity's first major revelation to the galaxy became required learning in every school across known space, not as a tale of military victory, but as a lesson in the power of foresight, mercy, and wisdom. The humans could have destroyed us. Vexthor concluded his address to the Galactic Cooperative. Instead, they chose to teach us. They showed us that the greatest power isn't in the weapons we wield or the territory we control, but in the choices we make when we have every advantage. As new species joined the galactic community, they all learned of the day when a single human warship rewrote the rules of civilization. Not through the destruction it could have caused, but through the wisdom it chose to share. The U.S. Dauntless's legacy lived on not in tales of battle, but in the thriving, peaceful civilization it helped create, where strength was measured not by the ability to conquer, but by the wisdom to understand.